Travel insurance. To buy or not to buy? What's your plan B? Stay tuned. My guest today to talk about travel insurance is Melissa Feenstra, owner of Feenstra Travel, located in Jenison, Michigan. Melissa has been meeting the needs of her clients in and around Michigan and across the country since 1994. Hi, Melissa. Welcome to RTE Travel Talk.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
Wonderful. It's great to have you with us. So, Melissa, one of the conundrums I hear from our viewers and listeners is the age-old question of why should I bother with travel insurance? For some folks with advanced medical conditions, as you can understand, there's a reluctance because at the end of the day, it's not cheap and greatly impacts their budget. But before we get into the wisdom of skipping insurance altogether, perhaps you can enlighten us about what travel insurance does and, just give us a few of the highlights.
Absolutely. I mean, buying travel insurance is about as exciting as putting a new roof on your home. Nobody wants to do it. But when you're talking about planning a trip and whatever that budget is going to be, it just needs to be part of the conversation. So when you're looking at what do I have to spend on this trip, kind of a general overview of what to expect to pay is about 10% of your total trip cost. There's certain times where age comes in, but if you just kind of put that number in the back of your head, okay, I need to add about 10% for my trip insurance. Why do you need trip insurance? You have to ask yourself, what is your plan B? I know that today, as we sit here and we're excited about going to Hawaii or we're going to Europe for that first time, plan it 10 months in advance. You start to put money on the trip. What is your plan B? Because it's not the resort's responsibility, it's not the airline's responsibility to return your money. You are responsible for yourself in your decisions, and there's always risk involved. You're paying for something and that product is not being delivered to you until several months out. So I don't think age is a factor. I don't think medical condition is a factor because we're planning today. And of course we're healthy. Yeah, it does impact your budget, but it needs to be part of your conversation.
So it's not just about old folks like me. The older we get, the more oddball little things that go wrong with us. And that can sometimes, with age, can sometimes affect the cost of your premium. But it's also wise for people even in their 20s and 30s because I gather you're protecting your investment.
Yeah, it's funny. Yes, I think, as we get older, those medical conditions, they do pop up more often. But if you're in your 20s and 30s and you have little kids at home, what are you going to do when your little one that's 4 years old has a raging fever at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're supposed to leave at 7 a.m. on a flight? What happens if your 65-year-old dad has a stroke the day before you're supposed to leave? Do you want to take off to Mexico when your dad's in the hospital unexpectedly? No, you don't. And if you've got $6,000-7,000 invested into that trip and dad's in the hospital, again, it's no one's responsibility. What is your plan B? I live in Michigan, the Midwest, and so we get a lot of snow here. This one happens time and time again. Oh, I was getting out of my car and I slipped and I fell and now I broke my ankle and I have to have surgery and I can't go on my trip. Who's going to give me my money back? Nobody's giving you your money back if you didn't buy your trip protection for your plan B.
Tell me this, though. What's the story if I've got kind of an underlying medical condition? Like, can I still get insurance?
You can. Not in every case, but typically most anything that you buy through a travel agency or a reputable tour company, they all offer a trip protection that you can bundle in with your trip cost. And pre-existing condition is included so long as you purchase it at the time that you make your deposit. That's typically the way that it goes. There's many folks out there that are like in remission or even in treatment for cancer, for example. We know about it now. We're healthy enough right now at this moment to travel. Yes, you have cancer, but it's pre-existing. However, you're healthy today, you can travel today. It would be something new that came up to where your medical doctor, your oncologist, for example, if we're using cancer, would say, okay, now something has changed in your condition. We recommend that you
Yeah.
don't travel. So, yes, pre existing is included. And this is where your advisor, your travel advisor, is going to help you out. You need to have those conversations with an advisor and make sure you're being very open and honest about my concerns to make sure that your advisor can match the correct
Right.
policy for you. Some wholesalers out there, they offer a cancel for any
Yeah. So
reason.
what is
That might be the
so
policy.
just exactly what is cancel for any reason?
It depends. It depends on the wholesale
Hmm.
company. I work with a vendor by the name of Apple Vacations. They're pretty
Right.
popular here in the Midwest to all inclusive destinations, Mexico, Caribbean, that kind of thing. They offer a cancel for any reason, and it's truly no questions asked as long as you cancel 2 hours prior to your flight. But you have to call in. You can't just not show up. And it's a truly no questions asked. They have a less expensive policy that gives you a voucher. You can pay a little bit more, and the money goes back to your credit card. But again, that's all part of the conversation that you have to have with your advisor, just like you have to set in your budget about 10% for a trip insurance. There's lots of companies out there, like an Apple Vacations, who offers a cancel for any reason. A good travel advisor is going to be able to describe and explain the different policies that are offered by
Oh,
each vendor.
perfect.
If you have an advisor that isn't having that conversation with you at some point during your conversation of planning the trip, you've got the wrong
Okay.
advisor, in my opinion.
So I heard you talk about wholesalers and suppliers. So with a lot of these, like if I wanted to go down to an all-inclusive resort, can I get trip insurance from the all-inclusive resort, or is that kind of packaged as part of, like when you're packaging a whole vacation together, that might include the air, and obviously there's some wholesalers that package it all together. How does that work, Melissa?
I do use wholesalers
Hmm.
always that bundle the all inclusive with the air and offer a trip protection that covers the entire cost of the
Right,
trip.
which makes more sense.
I don't find value, Ken, in booking directly with a resort
Okay.
because when you buy that insurance plan that they may be offering, that only covers a portion of your complete
Right.
investment. That covers just the resort. That's not covering your transportation to and from the airport. That's not covering your flights
Right.
from home. It makes better sense to bundle your air, your hotel, and your trip protection all under
Right,
one
exactly,
umbrella.
because that would make sense, because there's on the way there and on the way back is there's a lot of avenues there for things to go wrong. Flight
Exactly. And
delays,
there's also that
traffic delays.
avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I know when I get my credit card statement, or I'll get a letter in the mail from some other credit card company that's trying to gain my business. And one of the things they always talk about is, hey,
Oh, yeah.
you got travel insurance as part of this credit card.
Yep.
Should a traveler rely on that, or what do folks need to know about using a credit card?
Call me cynical, call me old, but if someone's offering you something for free or it's included, yeah, there's probably a caveat to that. I cannot speak for a
Right.
credit card company. I'm not a credit card company. So I don't know exactly what policy they have, but I would recommend if you truly believe that your credit card is going to cover you in the event of a travel emergency or a travel cancellation. Again, that falls on you. It's your responsibility to call that credit card and say, you offered
Yeah.
me this. What exactly does this mean? What are the terms? What are
Yeah.
the
So the
coverages?
best
It's
Yeah.
educating
So
yourself
the best advice is, if you've got this as an option for a credit card, is to read the fine print carefully.
or
Yeah.
ask the question. Don't assume because we know when we assume things,
Yeah.
there's an age old saying, I'll leave it there.
Is it difficult to process a claim through for travel insurance?
If you've been offered and if you purchase a cancel for any
Right.
reason
Right.
policy, if you cancel within that couple hours prior to your trip, those cancel for any reason refunds tend to come to you within about 30 to 60 days. Those are pretty
Right.
straightforward. When it's a trip interruption, like I used the example of you're in Mexico for 3 days and you get that dreaded call that someone's in the hospital and you have to
Right.
come home. So you have to pay for whatever the fee is to get home, but at least you have a fallback at that point. And you do have to file a claim with your insurance company, whoever it may be. And it's no different than filing an auto claim or a homeowner's insurance. I mean, you're going to have documentation. A typical insurance claim to get your money back is anywhere from 6 to 8 months. And it's not pretty. I mean, it's a lot of documentation. It's not fun, but it's worse if you had to come home early plus pay more and never be reimbursed for the 3 or 4 days that you missed.
So as a travel advisor, Melissa, do you help with that?
That's a tough one too. I do my best to give people advice. You know, I want to be a sounding board, but at the end of the day, I am not an insurance agent for any of these insurance companies. It is not an advisor's decision. The refund does not come from my agency. I believe if you have a good advisor, if you're sitting there at your computer and you're trying to upload these files, or what does this question mean? What do they mean, by this statement? Or, oh my goodness, I have no idea what my flight number was. I want my customers to absolutely call me and, let me be your sounding board. Oh, I'm frustrated with this insurance company. They're asking this difficult question. Where do I find this information? I know you sent me a receipt for my purchase, but I can't find it. Those are the types of things that I can assist you with, but I cannot file the claim for you.
We've all heard horror stories of bad things happening to folks caught without travel insurance, but what's the most common one that comes to mind with you, or have you had anything recent?
I wouldn't say it's common, because it's just all across the board. There's so many different things that could happen. Probably the most recent that's first to my mind, again, I mentioned I live in the Midwest. We all, across the Midwest and throughout the country, we saw what happened with the blizzard right around Christmas time. As a matter of fact, I was coming back from Puerto Vallarta. That's a story in itself. But weather related issues. If you don't have trip insurance, it's an act of God. It's Mother Nature. Guess what, folks? It is not the responsibility of the airline to return your money because they had to cancel their flight due to weather. That's in Mother Nature. It's an act of God. And so those folks that did not have travel insurance and their flight did not leave to Florida, or they did not get out to Mexico and it took them, maybe they lost 3 days of their trip. If they didn't have travel insurance, it's not the resort's responsibility to pay them back. It's not the airline's responsibility to pay them back. That lies with you. And that was really devastating to a lot of people. And they were surprised. Well, I thought the airline had to pay me back. No, I'm sorry. That's incorrect information. It's an act of God. It's Mother Nature. It's your responsibility. When you're planning that trip, you say, oh, that's not going to happen to me until it does.
Yeah. The other thing I hear from you from our questions today, especially when it comes to filing a claim, is patience is a virtue. It's going to take time, but if you've got quality travel and trip insurance in place, you will get your money back, or a portion of the insured back. It just takes time.
It definitely takes time.
If you've got something in place, make sure that you understand what you're covered for.
Do not assume my credit card has me covered. Do not assume the airline has to give me my money back if I don't arrive at 3 o'clock, like they said on January 22nd. That's not the fine print, folks. The only thing the airline owes you is a ride to your destination.
Awesome. Tremendous. Well, Melissa, this is really, really great information. If folks wanted to reach out to you about a upcoming vacation plan, what's the best way to get hold of you?
These days, email is great, but honestly, a phone conversation. So pick up the phone, ask questions, let me ask you questions, and I can be reached at 616-438-5903. We all live in a virtual world, and you can go back and forth via email. Melissa@FeenstraTravel.com.
Always like to ask my guests, where are you off to next?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, exciting. After the return of COVID, I'm finally going back to Europe in April. So really, really looking forward to that. We're doing Avalon
Oh, great.
Waterways, Paris and Normandy on the Seine
Right.
River. And yeah, really, really looking forward to that. It's time to get back to Europe. It's been too long since I've been there. So really looking
When are you
forward to it.
heading out to the for the Avalon Waterways cruise?
Yep, Avalon Waterways, Paris and Normandy beaches. We leave for that first week of April.
The beaches of Normandy and Avalon Waterway sounds like a fantastic vacation. We'll have to have you back
Yes.
to give us a review. How does that sound?
Yeah, yeah. And interestingly enough, we're taking our 16-year-old son. A lot of people think, oh, why would I take my kiddo to Europe? He's really looking forward to it. So I would love to talk about family travel and Europe and how my trip was successful traveling to Europe, huh? With a teenager.
Well, that sounds like a plan to me. So, with that, Melissa,
Yeah.
I'm just going to wish you safe and happy travels on all your future adventures. May the wind always be at your back, and I hope to see you on the deck of Avalon Waterways sometime soon in the future.
Bet, Ken. Thanks so
Take
much.
care.
Take
Thank
care.
you. And that about wraps things up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Melissa Feenstra of Feenstra Travel. If you'd like to reach Melissa, I will leave her contact information in the description. If you'd like to reach us, simply send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com, visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, or leave a comment. We always respond. And as always, folks, if you enjoyed this content, a like, subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels!